Yeah, I know you obviously talk a lot about AI and the new technologies and approaches, and that's all important. But it's like the new tools. I'm like, there's always some new thing to do, but the team culture is key. How we get work done, how we integrate these new things. I think that's agile is just fundamental to that.
Yeah, and I mean AI is disruptive in that it's distinctly going to change the individual productivity of people, and it can also change the productivity of systems. Like I think those are the two things where I think it's particularly disruptive. The other thing about it though is it does require a level of oversight, and I think that oftentimes people are assuming that this is it's instant gains. It's like, well, yeah, there's gains that I'm distinctly finding are in place here, but there's oversight additions as well. To make sure that the automation technologies, if we're playing with generative AI, the checking process through this, like there are governance issues that get introduced with this. I think on par, many of this is going to end up being a net positive, but at the same time, I'm not instantly saying, oh, that's the snap solution to every single part of what we want by just putting AI on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like the RPA automation, the bots, the PIAs and the Roos and ConnectWise and things, that's a lot easier to plug in than that's an automation, but AI is so much more like
when done correctly.
Yeah.
I think the other element of this is we've been this idea of pure automation has been an idea for a very long time. And I'm certainly intrigued by this, and I think that there is possibility here. I also, at the same time, want to make sure that there is checks and oversight to make sure that we're understanding what's going on within these systems. Fundamentally, one of the things that I would make an argument for is systems that are more reliable at their core require less of the other things in terms of maintenance on top. So, if we look at this, if I'm just thinking about this in a very broad sense, the best way to create the best customer experience is not to automate away the help desk problems. It's to make the core systems better, like to make them more reliable, easier to use, and to lean into making sure that's the bit so that you can actually then use customer resources on proper business outcomes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's redirecting automation AI to the right things. Like, what's the actual bottleneck? Like, are we just automating broken processes? Is it just stuff that doesn't matter? Because you can be busy all day building automation, but is it really impacting the client or profitability?
Right. And you very much have to ask the question of why are we doing this? In my show, I always ask the question, why do we care on every, in terms of all my news stories. And the reason I do that is just to try and put some perspective around the idea of, hey, why is this impactful? And you have to take that approach to the way you're thinking about these implementations with customers. Why should the customer care about this? What's the thing that is making a difference for them on their outcomes? And frankly, the one thing that I keep focusing on is the fact that those providers that lean into answering that question are ultimately the ones that are doing the best because they're very customer centric.
Yeah, and that's all what Lean and Agile is about: delivering more value to the client and stripping everything else away. Just being ruthless with stripping away, away.
Exactly. And you've got to lean into understanding what are the core values, what are the things that you can do right now that's really valuable for them, and understanding what it means for them. Ultimately, that's one of the things that's, it should be part of the philosophy of managed services providers. The core idea behind managed services was the idea of putting together a value add where you try and measure based on outcome. And we would think of uptime as the outcome. We will make sure that your systems are up because that is the best outcome for the customer, putting you, the provider and the customer on the same side of the table. You have to make sure that that's part of why you're doing what you're doing. That same philosophy applies incredibly well to projects. Thinking about why are we doing this? What's the outcome of it that's going to matter to the customer?
Yeah. And that's actually why we're actually rebranding I own two MSPs as well. Mm-hmm. And the one is Crafty Penguins. It's all Linux server support. And that's pretty unique. You don't see many of those.
Not a lot of those out there.
No. Like how many, you talk to hundreds of MSPs, how many of them have you seen just focused on Linux?
Not many.
Not many, yeah.
Not many.
And the other one's a typical Windows MSP, I'd call it, right? So it's Kerkhoff Technology. It's got my name. And we're actually rebranding it next week. So we're here in February 12th, and next week we're launching a new brand. We're calling Improving IT.
There we go. That's it.
So
And it plays both ways: improving IT or improving it.
exactly. So we kept it all lowercase because we want the ambiguity there.
I like that. Well
But
done.
it's a core value: unlocking potential, always being better today than yesterday. Really living that out. But yeah, it can't just be the tech. It's got to impact your business as well. So I think it's just really going to shift the conversations we have top down. So it's not just some vision document, but it's who we are. It's got to show up everywhere. Okay. And yeah, so what I've seen as well is people get into the AI and these tools, the automation, which is all great. I highly encourage that, but actually not